get back into it. And so I need your feedback. Let me know what you think. Most of my content, most of the videos on my page have been about lesson plans for high school. And I love teaching high school and I love making videos. I always have. But I wanted to try doing some of my own personal work in my own studio, show what I'm doing in my own studio and do a little throwing there. So let me know what you think, if you want to see some more of this, if you want to see me throwing in my own studio, what that looks like. And yeah, I just want to try doing a live stream. Never done a live stream before. I want to see how everything works, if the sound's good, if you can see it. Probably going to put you on an angle right here so you can see my wheel. So let me know what kind of videos or what kind of angles you like to see in a video. So let me know. I'm going to switch you over to this view right here, right now, and let me know if you have any questions. I could be happy to answer any pottery questions while I'm doing this, so let me know if you want to know anything. I'm throwing in frost porcelain. It's one of the most beautiful clays ever. It's what I really like to use. So here's a mug I just made, and you can see it's nice and white. It's a beautiful porcelain, but when it fires, oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. I don't think I have a light in here, but it is totally translucent and just really brings out the color. So I'm throwing with 1 1/4, 1 1/8 pound, somewhere in between there. It's going to shrink down to about this size. I'm going to be throwing mug. It's going to look very much like this. It's going to have about this thickness, a little thicker at the bottom. Hopefully you can see that. Let me know. A little thicker in the bottom, a little thinner on the outside, and then it thickens up again right here. Probably make a couple different shapes. So again, let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you like this sort of thing, if I should do more. Let me know if the angle's good. Can you hear everything? All that kind of good stuff. I would love as much feedback as possible. So let me know in those comments down there. I'll try to answer any questions. I can see the comments right here. Just like I said, I'm trying to learn all this live stream stuff. So help me out. Let me know what you can see. If it's good, I'm going to switch your camera view here and put you right there. Hopefully that'll give you a nice view of my wheel. And there we go. That's pretty good. Oh, look at bonus. You can see the bird feeder too. So let me know if there's any birds out there. All right, it looks pretty good. Okay, so I got my clay over here. I keep all my clay. I run it through the pug mill and keep all my clay in one of these tubs right here. Got all my clay weighed out. I'm just gonna throw some pots here. I like throwing on these bats. You'll see me throw on these. They last forever and they're really durable. I don't know who makes them. I got these as a gift probably in like 2005, 2006-ish. I've been using them ever since. They're amazing. They work really good. So these bat systems, they plop right in here. With porcelain, I think it's so wet and so floppy, and it really does make a difference when you're picking them up, so they don't warp and change shape. Like I said, let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully you can see that. A little bit delay on my screen, so what I'm looking at is a little bit old here. Get it centered up. I can go just a little closer maybe. How's that? Still see the bird feeder? Right there. Oh, there are the birds. All right, we're gonna open it up. Probably get a top-down shot too. So I'm compressing the bottom. I like to make a little swirl at the bottom. I'm gonna do my first pull. I do my first pull like this. I grab it and I lift it up. Should get it all evened out. And I bring the top. Oh, there's a bird right there. Little dove. Those little guys, they dump all the food all over the place for the other birds, but gotta love them. All right. One of the things I'm always trying to do is not get my pots too thin. I know that when you're learning how to do stuff, it's really easy to make your pots kind of thick. But I found that as I get older, that's easier to make your pots too thin too. So I was trying to get them too thin. So you want them kind of durable so they don't get dinged around and break real easy. Get a couple pulls in here. My second pot of the day, so I'm always a little slow when I start off. And I get better as I go. That muscle memory, even if I've been doing this for a long time, it really does make a thing from the beginning of the day towards the end of the day. So I'm a really basic thrower. I don't use a whole lot of tools. Use your basic wooden knife. This is one of my favorite tools right here. Just one of these metal ribs, and I've cut off the sides. I use this to make lines, and that's definitely my favorite tool. And this tool, which you'll see me use in a little bit, but that's pretty much it. And a sponge. So I'm going to tear off. I call this the ski jump right there, from Wisconsin. So a lot of my stuff has snow references. I call it the ski jump. There's always that little bit of skirt of clay down there. Some people call it the skirt. And then I use this tool right here. This is a handmade trimming tool, but it's also incredibly good for you making an undercut. So I'll make an undercut right here with that tool. And now I'm going to do all my shaping. I try to get it all cleaned up, and now I'm going to do my shaping next. A little water on there. So I'm using this tool, and I'm going to curve it like this to get the curve I want. And you'll see me flex the tool a little bit. So there's something in the clay right there. I don't know what that is, but so here I switch and I change the angle of the tool against my finger. I keep my finger in this place, and then I change there to make that concave curve. I'm going to kick this out. So right here, I'm going to hold usually I hold it over here just so you can see what I'm doing. Kicking this out. This is roughly based on 14th century earthenware from England. And I just really love the tops of all these mugs that they made and pitchers and so forth. And I kind of borrowed this into my own vocabulary, if you will. So I'm going to hold the rib right here, and I'm going to kick this top part out. It's a really nice place to you're drinking out of it. And I like this to be concave right here. And to use the tip of the rib there to kick that out. It's just really comfortable to drink out of. Makes a nice visual anchor later on for that handle. And then I'll anchor it down here as well. So I always talk about visual anchors with the handles. So you just want some place where on the form where it looks like that should go. And I'm using the tip of that rib right here just to make another little line. I can make one down here too, where that visual anchor for the handle, starting and stopping point. Another tool I like to use is sponge on a stick. And yeah, I've been frugal my whole life, and so I have an actual stick from the backyard. Got a rubber band here and a sponge right there. I'm going to get all the water out of the inside. And I try to do a lot of my cleanup on the wheel. So this pot won't need to be trimmed at all. And I'm going to clean up the back with the sponge. Now, I don't cut my pots off the wheel right now. I found that with this frost porcelain that sometimes if I cut it too early, I can get a crack at the bottom. So I wait a couple hours for it to dry up a little bit, and then it seems to cut better. And then I'm going to wash the edge of this rib, or I'm sorry, the bat. Just try to keep everything clean. I'm always trying to keep my studio space really clean. If you can keep the little crumbly bits and everything off of your pots, you don't have to clean them up later. It just saves you a lot of extra time. So let me know what you think about all the angles and stuff. First one, this one's a little bit clunkier than the other one I just made, so I made this one right beforehand. I like the form of this one much better. It has a really nice curve right through this midsection. So I'm going to try to throw the next one a little bit like this. You can see I don't really use a gauge or anything like that. I've just made a million of these, so even without a gauge, I can throw them pretty much identical height and width. Just made a lot of mugs throughout my life, and they just kind of all turn out the same size, but I use the same amount of clay. Again, if you're just joining in, this is my first live stream on my channel, just trying it out. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if the sound's good. Can you hear me? All that kind of stuff. If you want me to change the angle, let me know. So again, I'm throwing with these little bats. Don't know the name brand. I was given these as a gift like 20 years ago, and they've just been amazing. I've thrown a million pots on them. They just keep on working. But you do have to kind of keep the edges clean. Like I just showed, I try to do that while I'm throwing. Let's make another one here. Gonna keep all my clay in a bin. And let's see if we can get a little closer angle with this one. We'll get up a little closer here. Let's see. There's a slight delay on my screen, so I apologize. I won't be able to see this right away. Hopefully that's good. Oh, I think I like that. Okay, all right. Just make another one here. Again, let me know if you have any questions. I'd love if you click that like button. I'm trying to revive my channel a little bit. I was gone for a while, remodeling my house, which took a lot of my energy, but I am back. I'm done with remodeling the house. It's so nice to have a finished house. And I did break one of the lens that I made all my videos with. I broke my lens. So unfortunately, I'm using my phone right now, but I'm trying to get a new camera, saving up for a new camera. I did lose my YouTube monetization because I didn't post enough and I didn't have all my paperwork done. So I'm trying to get that back. I just need a couple more hours of watch time and a few more likes. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that, clicking that like button for me, I'd love that. It's free for you to do. Helps me out so much. Coming in. Ooh, yeah, I like this angle. Looks pretty good. Also just trying out some new things. You see the window behind me. It's usually where my wheel faces the window, but not enough space in between the window and my wheel to get a shot. So I'm trying to turn my wheel sideways. I think it's looking pretty good. But I have my wheel, I stand up to throw, and I have my wheel on a different stand than I usually use, and it has wheels on it, so it's moving around a little bit. Again, so I get to this stage, I pull up the walls, and then I trim off the ski jump. A lot of people call that the skirt. I'm from Wisconsin, so I got a lot of snow things. And I'm just going to clean this edge up with a trimming tool right there. I like to clean it up at this point. Just makes a really nice transition right there. If you clean it up later, it gets all scratched up, but if you clean it up now, it has a nice transition. So I'm going to try to get a little bit more dynamic form in this one by narrowing that neck right there. I'm going to go up, and you'll see me curve the rib. And at some point, I'm going to make a transition where I change the position of my rib for my hand to make this concave curve in here. It looks like this. So right now, I don't know if you saw that, but I took my finger, and I got to about here, and then I lifted my finger up, and it helps me use this part of the rib. And so there's something in the rib right there. It's making those little lines. So I'm going to go back and rib that one more time. I draw on all my pots, so I like to have a smooth surface to draw on. Okay, and this is that part. Again, this 14th century earthenware inspired me to make this little lip right here. So I'm going to kick this out. What are the biggest, Laura, thanks for your comment. What are the biggest beginner mistakes? Oh, that's a great question. I think probably the biggest beginner mistake is probably just to not keep on going when things get tough. It does get tough, and I think the easiest way to get better is to have muscle memory. And you get muscle memory by doing it a whole bunch of times, even when it gets tough. So that's a great question. I think it's muscle memory. I'm always telling my students to, instead of making one pot, drying it, and then glazing it, and trimming it, and and so on, doing the steps all at once to make, trim, 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 glaze, glaze, glaze. If you get into that habit of making a whole bunch of things all in a row, like I have probably 20 balls of clay right now in my little bin here. If you get in that habit of really just trying to make a whole bunch all at once, and then you trim a whole bunch at once, and then you go glaze a whole bunch at once, you get that muscle memory for each process. Be a little bit like if you're on a sports team and you're a pitcher, and then you throw one pitch, and then you decide you're going to bat for one bat, and then you go out in the outfield. And if you're to do all those things, you wouldn't get better at any of them. But if you split that up into different tasks, that's when you can really master one task. So that's a great question, Laura. Thank you for that. Muscle memory, I think, is the biggest thing to learn pottery. And so I think the biggest mistake is just stopping. Persistence. All right, so again, I have my, I love these sticks. I don't know why I just love that so much, but love making things out of stuff outside. So I just got a sponge, rubber band, and the older the sponge, the better. When you get them, they're brand new and they're all stiff and they can damage your pots. If you get a really old sponge, they get really soft and they'll soak up all that water. All right. Okay, so again, I don't cut mine off the wheel right away. I wait about a couple hours, and this is that frost porcelain. It's a little bit finicky. When I say a little bit finicky, it's a lot finicky, but it's totally worth the results. It's almost see-through. It's like glass. It's just beautiful. I try to clean it with my bat so I don't get any crunchy stuff over it. I'm gonna set it over here real quick. Grab another bat here. Who is your role model, Laura? Thanks for that question. Let me think about that for a minute. I've had a bunch of role models in my life for pottery throughout the years, and I'm so thankful for all of them. I guess I could split that up into a couple groups. Like there's role models that I actually know, and teachers and stuff, so forth, and then there's role models that I've just followed their work. I think role models that I've followed their work, I've always been really inspired by Linda Christensen from Minnesota. I just think her pots are beautiful, and her attitude towards making pots is just absolutely brilliant. And so I've always really liked her work and her, I guess, say philosophy towards making. And so she's always been one of my favorites, as well as Clary Ilian for kind of the same reasons. And then I guess my biggest person that helped me so much was my high school art teacher. He got me started and encouraged me to keep on going. So without him allowing me to, do whatever I wanted to in the pottery studio in high school, I probably wouldn't have gone on to learn more about it. So super thankful for him. So good question. I don't know why, but my clay's got some stuff in it today. It's got little hard chunks in it of some sort. I ran it through the pug mill, but even through the pug mill, sometimes you get little hard chunks in there. All right, and I don't know if you noticed, but I throw different than most people. I use my thumb right here. I'm going to grip my thumb and gripping towards my hands like this, and I squeeze in. It creates a little shelf right there that I pull up. Pull up on that little shelf, and I rise the clay up. And I don't know when I started throwing like this, but you have so much power in your thumb versus your fingers or your knuckles. I really push in on my thumb, and it keeps my wrist straight. And I'm standing, it's just really comfortable for me. And it seems to be super efficient. I haven't seen too many other people throw like that, but it just really works for me. So again, I'm down here like this. I'm creating a little shelf. I'm pushing up against my finger to pull up the clay. I'm gonna dig in, count a second or two, pull up. You can be pretty efficient with the clay. And if you're just joining in, this is what the cross section of my mugs looks like. So I try to keep them a little thicker towards the bottom, and a little thicker up here. But you can throw pretty efficiently with your thumb. I'm going to narrow that up a little bit here. Yeah, Florian, he's amazing at making those videos, just incredible. And his voice is very soothing. Yeah, hard not to love Florian. He's pretty incredible. Love his style for sure. I think one of the things I really like about Florian's artwork is I just really enjoy that celadon glaze and how he uses the celadon on a lot of his pots. And by doing that and taking like the variation away from the color and everything like that, he's really highlighting the forms of his pots. And I think that's really a cool thing about Florian's work. I really like that. And of course, the way he documents it, I think the ceramics world has definitely been elevated by his presence on YouTube and other social media for sure. Especially, you know, young people. I'm a high school teacher, high school pottery teacher, and all my students know Florian, so it's pretty cool. Again, I do that undercut there, and I'm going to go back and do a shaping pull here. It's already pretty thin. Doing a little shaping pull here, and right about here, I keep the rib in the same spot, and then move my finger up. That creates that concave area right there. And then I'm going to kick this out. All right, and then I can leave a little mark right here. And if I get any little bits of clay sticking out there, I just leave them for later. This porcelain cleans up very good when it's bone dry. So if when it's bone dry, I just hit it with a sponge. All right, and then we clean up those edges so we don't get chunkies everywhere. All right, just for fun, I kind of throw a couple of different variations of this form. So this is what I call liquid, and it's wide at the bottom. But I also make it in this style right here too, which has a little bit more roundish, so a little bit rounder on the bottom. So I think I'll make a couple of those. I like to mix it up a little bit. They're kind of the same form, they're just a little bit different at the bottom. The round ones actually hold more liquid, believe it or not. So I'm gonna grab another bat here. How many do you make a day? That's a good question. I think I have around 35 bats. So I usually make about 35 when I work. Sometimes I'll make a couple mugs and then some other forms. And that's a nice number for me. I take a long time on the finishing because I draw on them all or I decorate them. So making the mugs doesn't take as long. I can do a live stream on decorating too, on my decorating. We could do, you know what we could do? This might be, let's try if we can see if we can do an overhead shot here. We can do this without messing up. There we go. Let's do an overhead shot. Hopefully that's tall enough. I have to back that up a little bit. See what my hands are doing. Do you only work with porcelain? I love porcelain. Once you start working with porcelain, if you switch back to stoneware, it is such a chore to clean it up because if you get any little bits of stoneware in your porcelain, you can see it, and it is very noticeable. So right now I'm only working with porcelain. I would like to get back. I made stoneware for many years, and I'd like to get back into it. But I fire an electric kiln. And to me, an electric kiln porcelain is just so beautiful. I got these little chunks in here today. I don't know where they're coming from, but there's a little chunk of something in there. Right there. If you get one of these, you can compress the rim here. So I had a little hole right there. Just push that rim down. And you can compress that hole back up, and then it won't affect your throwing. And the way I always like to tell people to do this, with your left hand you make a lobster claw. Right hand you make a peace sign. There's many ways to do this, but this is just the way I do it. And you put your thumb right here and you curve it, and you flip it on top. So it's peace sign, flip it on top, and then you can press it down. And you can basically throw it back all the way down, and then you can bring it back up. And then if you have a little imperfection like that, it just goes away. I think one of the things when you're learning through a porcelain, keeping it a volcano shape, keeping it narrow at the top, can really help out a lot. So once it gets wide, it's hard to bring in. Again, I'm digging in like this. I'm taking my thumb, pushing up towards my finger, making a little edge and pulling it up. Gives me a lot of power. Really squeeze that clay up. So now I got my height pretty much there. I'm gonna clean up my ski jump with my wooden knife. This one's got a little end on it right there. That's a little dull, but I'm gonna cut straight down, just clean up that extra clay. And you can think of it like a train. The clay is coming this way. If you hold it this way and hit that wooden knife, it'll just go off to the side. Or I think you can buy these now, or you can make yourself one. This is a trimming tool I made, 20 some years ago, and I just take it like this and collects all that clay. It's a little less stressful than the wooden knife. Do your undercut. I'm going to do my shaping pull. Again, I like to use this metal rib. I'm a big fan of the metal rib. A little water in there, and I'm going to belly this out. I'm going to take it, curve the metal rib, push my finger on the inside where I want it to go, and then go around. All right, Laura, thanks for joining. Have a good day. Make some pots. I'm going to go push this out, belly that out. Belly this out again. And then I'm going to kick this top edge out, create that lip. And then the concave right there. I love that concave detail on the rim. All right, we'll see how that angle looks. Smooth that up, get the sponge on the stick. Again, if you're just joining in, making some mugs today, just trying out a live stream for the first time. You probably know me from my high school lesson plans. Thought I would do a little bit of my own work on here. See how that goes. All right, and I like to clean up my bat before I put it on my table. Try to keep everything from getting crusty over there. Again, this is frost porcelain. If you're just joining in, this is frost porcelain. It's incredibly translucent. And it's just one of the whitest clays, and it really brings out the color. This will shrink down to about this size right here. This is, well, I guess you can't see that. I'm going to put it back to that other angle. I can do this without messing up. I put it upside down. Does it go like that? Oh boy. Is that right side up? I messed this up big time, didn't I? I think that's right. Oh, we're upside down, aren't we? Oh goodness, all right. Just flip the camera around, I guess. There we go. All right. I don't know how I managed to mess that up so bad, but I did. All right. is one of these things. I'm going to get better at live streaming. I'll do it a couple more times and we'll get better at it. So I'll probably do one on doing handles when I'm ready for these mugs. And then I love making handles, actually. There's the handle right there. So yeah, we'll do the next live stream. We'll be making handles and I'll show you how to decorate them. Or anything else that you want to see, let me know in the comments. Anyway, oh yeah, like what I was saying, this is going to shrink down to about this size right here. See, it can shrink quite a bit. And this is the frost porcelain. I don't think you can tell from the video or not, but it is totally translucent. You can see your light right through it. If you fill it with coffee, you can see where your coffee is. And it's pretty cool stuff. If you've never worked with it, you can get it from Laguna. They make great clay. And I'm sure there's an equivalent if you're in a different area of the country. All right, how's that angle? Looks pretty good. Let me know if you want to see a different angle. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Again, my name is Jeff, making some mugs. Love it if you hit that like button. I'm trying to kind of revive my YouTube channel a little bit. I got some cool things I want to do. Some kilns and some other things I want to kind of accomplish. Oh yeah, this stuff throws so nice. Try to keep that top pushed in. Bring up the walls. Dig in, grab that clay. Trim off the extra on the bottom here. Ski jump. Use the trimming tool, do our undercut. All right, so for all of you guys on there, it looks like a couple people are watching. One of the things I want to do, I've been throwing with this porcelain for quite a while now. And before I was a porcelain thrower, I was a soda fire person. And I made a lot of soda fired work and I fired a lot of stoneware. And I really enjoyed it. But I started firing with electric kiln. And stoneware just doesn't look as good as porcelain in my opinion. Or I wasn't able to get it to look as good as the porcelain in my electric kiln. So I kind of switched to porcelain full time. But I live in just a really beautiful area of Florida. And I'm just really inspired by nature all around me. And I want to start getting back into the stoneware for a couple reasons. I just think that the environmental impact on porcelain is a little bit heavier, or at least this porcelain, because this comes from far away, but I could easily get porcelain from Florida. We have EPK here, not too far from my house. And I'd like to get back into some stoneware, so I want to build a soda kiln. So that's one of the projects I'm kind of working towards. I'd like to build one with bricks. However, on Marketplace yesterday I saw a really good deal on an old used electric kiln that could be converted. Might try that for a little bit until I can raise some money selling pots to build a proper kiln out of bricks. And that might be a fun thing to video. So that might be coming soon. We'll see. All right. I like this one. I really like the transition right there and this. I'm always trying for this concave little detail right there. I don't know what it is about that, but I just love the way it looks. I like the way it feels, like everything about it. Oftentimes I'll put a little line right here and it fills in the glaze. Just kind of highlights that area. All right, let me put this one over there. Grab another bat. Got this big light right here. Kind of have to duck around it. Hopefully the lighting looks good. We'll try it out. Trying all this new stuff out. This is all new to me, live streaming. Hope the sound is good. Nobody said anything about the sound yet, so I'm assuming it is. Hoping everybody can hear me. And the air conditioner is not on right today. Is a little colder today. It's I'm not sure what the temperature is out there, but it's pretty cold out. It's like maybe 65 or something like that. The air conditioner's not on. Hopefully we can throw in here without too much air conditioner noise. My little studio, it does get kind of warm in here in the summer. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Again, I like to throw these two different shaped mugs. So this one will give me that rounder mug. Kind of narrower foot. Press that, makes a nice little swirl. My thumb. Again, let me know if you have any questions about throwing, about anything in ceramics. Let me know if you have any suggestions. I'm all ears. Throw with my thumb. I'm going to take my thumb, push it up against my finger, create a little shelf. This one's a little thick on the bottom. Dig in, pull up. Grab another pull. Again, I'm going to push my thumb up against my finger, create a little shelf. I'm pushing upward. Pull up the clay. This one I'll shape it a little bit, go out a little bit. Go back in. Narrow the neck. Gonna make my undercut, cut away the ski jump. Thanks for joining in, everybody. Again, if you could help me out by clicking that like button, I'd love that. Trying to revive my YouTube channel a little bit, and I need your help. I'd love it if you click the like button. Thanks for all of you that have already. I appreciate it. Much appreciated. All right, now we'll do our shaping pull here. Curve our metal rib. Again, I cut this edge off. I like to use that to make lines. Usually put the cut part down and halfway up. So I'm going to curve it like this. I'm going to be pushing my fingers against the metal rib. And then halfway up, you're going to see me switch. And I'm going to keep my finger in the same spot and then move my metal rib, and it's going to create that concave part right here. So convex, concave. You'll see me switch. I'm going to belly it out. And here's the part where my finger stops. And the rib goes in. And create the little ledge right here. And then my favorite part is I curve the rib and use this to make a little concave part right here. Trying to keep that rim a little thicker. And then I like to draw a little line with this part of my rib right there. Makes a visual anchor for the handle. And then, of course, the visual anchor for the bottom of the handle is going to be this bump right there, so the handle will go from here to there. Make a nice visual place for the handle to sit. Got my sponge on a stick. I'm going to get all the water out of the inside. Again, a really old sponge that's been sitting in your bucket for a while. Gets nice and soft, works really good for this. It doesn't damage the swirl you put in the bottom. And it's really soft and it picks up a lot of water. All right, clean up the bat so we don't get crunchies all over the place. Again, if you're wondering about my bat system, I really wish I knew who made it, but I don't think you can get them anymore. I was given it as a gift, and then I bought as many replacement bats as I could get from my local pottery supply place, which is now moved, so I don't know if they still have them, but I love these bats. I want to cut more of the bats, but if you go to Home Depot, I'm sure I'm not the only potter that's figured this out. If you go to Home Depot to buy masonite, it's not the same thickness as the bat masonite, so it doesn't fit. So I don't know where you can get this masonite stuff. We have a really cool plywood store in my city. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. In my city, we have a really cool plywood store, but they don't have it. They have the thinner variety that Home Depot and Lowe's sells. So I'd love to be able to cut some more bats for this. And the thinner stuff that they have at Home Depot it's not as waterproof as this, the stuff they make masonite bats out of. I haven't been able to find a supplier near me. I'm sure it costs a fortune to ship it too. You can press the bottom, make a nice swirl. And then this first pull, a lot of times you see me do this. I'm going to squeeze my fingers like that and pull it upwards and inwards. My right hand has got the sponge in it, just adding a little water so my hands don't dry out. And I'm going to be pushing it towards the inside. Looks like this. Your bat can sometimes pop out. That's the downside of these bats, I guess. Can you see the bird feeder? Big old pigeon just tried to land in there. Again, I pull them with my thumb, squeezing towards here. We have a ton of birds in my backyard. I'm super lucky. I have this giant tree. But they do get a little shy when I'm standing here. If I work long enough, the cardinals come in. And it's porcelain. I made it with the frost porcelain. So it's always fun to react with nature a little bit. I'm pulling up these walls here. There we go. Clean up the ski jump. And we got our final height. Do our undercut. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. Love to hear from you. Narrow that neck a little bit so when I widen the base, it doesn't get too wide. Just think proportionally, they look a little better with the top's a little narrower than the base. I'm going to do my shaping pulls. Here's the part where I stop my fingers and they catch back up. Kind of like this shape right here, this top kicking in. Again, if you're just joining, one of the reasons why I scrape a lot of the stuff off the sides, because I do draw on these. I do some Mishima drawings on there. And it makes a nice smooth surface to draw on, but I do like to leave some of the making marks. I think that's one of the things I love about pottery is that the maker's marks comes from the tools and fingers and stuff like that. If you think about it, that's the really cool thing about pottery. And when you trade mugs with somebody, if it has their fingerprint on it, you know, it's just a record of the person being there. I think that's pretty awesome and powerful. All right, I'm going to clean up the edges, the bats. What is the, okay, so that's a great question. Hey, thanks, Gavin. Hey, what's up, Gavin? What's your wall pulling method for pots that are too big for you to pinch up? Good question. So I only use that pinch up on that first pull. And then for the rest of it, I use my thumb. That's a good question. Let me put this one over here. I think that's you, Gavin, right? All right. So I'm making mugs today. Let's tell me how many you got over there. I got 6. That's 8 mugs so far. And I got, if you're just joining in, I keep all my clay in a bin like this. And keeps them all nice and wet so they don't dry out. Hug them all first, I weigh them all. And while I'm throwing, I have that next to me. Get your bat nice and clean. Again, this porcelain I'm throwing with is very difficult to work with, and it's very floppy, so the bat really helps me out. I had to get new kiln shelves even, because if my kiln shelves were just a little bit warped, all my pots would warp. So it's kind of tricky to work with, but it's so worth it. It's so beautiful. All right, so we got it centered. I'll make my hockey puck here. Pull it out, and it's leaving the bottom about that thick, and then I do a compression, just making a really nice swirl, and I pull it down to about that thick. Cross section looks like this when it's finished. So my mug's cut in half. This is bisque. Leave the bottom a little thicker. The walls are thinner, and then it gets thicker up here again, just for durability. And one of the things I'm always working on is trying to make my pots too thin. They're really awesome when they're a little thicker. They have that feel to them. It's that pinch pull, so I'm pulling like that. Sometimes you see me push my hand over. You get kind of in a rhythm, and the more I get in a rhythm, the more I end up doing that. The second pull I make with my thumb going up towards my fingers. Pull in, I lift up, pull the walls up. I can hear the cardinal. Hopefully it'll come land for us. If you can't see it, I think it's right here in your view. Right around here is the bird feeder. It's porcelain. Handmade. I've tried out a bunch of different designs. That one works pretty good, but it has a problem with that these big birds like the mourning doves can land on it, and when the mourning doves land on it, they dump all the food out. So I'm trying to work on a different design that will keep the mourning doves out of the feeder and only let the cardinals and the woodpeckers and the blue jays in. Smaller birds. Push this out. There's my shape pull. I'm curving the rib, pushing my fingers into it. Making this form right there. This one, it's got a little edge right here. I really don't like the way that looks. I might have forgot to undercut this one. That's probably why. Use this tool to undercut. I'm gonna go back there one more pull just to make this how I like it on the bottom. Now I've been throwing with porcelain for a long time now. I've heard a lot of people say with porcelain you shouldn't use a bunch of water. And as you can see, I use tons of water. I think there's a couple of ways to look at it. If you use a ton of water but you throw slow, then the porcelain will soak up the water, but I throw pretty fast and the water doesn't really seem to affect me. All right. I'm gonna make a little better undercut on that. Oh, Gavin, how has the wood kiln been going? So, if you just joined in, Gavin, I saw on Marketplace last night. So I'm not trying to build a wood kiln. I'm trying to build a soda kiln, which is a little different, but kind of the same thing. And at Marketplace last night, there's a little kiln shell. So I'm trying to raise some money, but there's a little kiln shell for $300. I think it was 3 kilns for $300. And I might buy that so I can convert it into a soda kiln. In the meantime, I think it'll work. And it's low risk because I'm not spending too much money. But I definitely need to make a video if I buy it. All right. My plan would be to get the old shell, and there's something called a TDI conversion where you turn it There's a couple, like Simon Leach makes some really great kilns out of old electric kiln shells. And, but his are a little different design. I would make something similar to the TDI, but I would make a separate chimney. I actually have a lot of bricks in my backyard right now from an old reduction kiln, some burners and everything. I don't have enough to make a full-size soda kiln yet, but I have a lot of bricks, so I could make a chimney. That way I'd have a little bit more stacking space. I'll be sure to let you guys know about that as soon as I get that project going. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'm just going to be throwing away, making some pots today. Again, I have something in my clay today. I must have had a hard piece of clay get in the pug mill, but there's just little pieces. If you get a piece like that, you can take recentering the rim. It can be really crazy like that. The way I like to teach people, there's many ways to do it, but this on smaller pots works really good. You take your right hand and make like a peace sign, put your sponge on top of it, and put your thumb right here. The pot's gonna be riding in this channel. With your left hand, you make a lobster claw. So if you're holding them like this, you put that one right on top. And if you brace against the splash pan and just kind of squeeze from all angles, and I'm pushing slightly downwards, you can throw up and you can throw back down. You can get rid of any issues that you have if you have a little air bubble or a little hard chunk in your clay or something like that, or you just get off center. I think every time I center the clay and I pull it open, it gets a little off center, and then I recenter it. This is that pinch pull right here, so I'm going to use this hand. Just going to add a little bit of water, and this hand squeezing and going up. Get our first pull that evens everything out. With these bats though, sometimes you can pull if you're too aggressive, you can pull the bat out of the... And this wood will swell up, so the first couple pots you make in the day, it's very loose, and then the wood swells and it'll hold the bat in tighter as you go on. But I've only made 9 pots today, so just getting started here. Push against that. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you could hit the like button for me, I'm trying to get my YouTube monetization back up so I can get a camera. I'm on my phone today. I did drop my lens. I used to make those videos all the time, and I had this really nice lens that worked for all my videos, and I dropped it. And now my camera's outdated, so I'm trying to get a new one. And I'd love to help. If you'd help me get the monetization back, that'd be awesome. Just click that like button is all you gotta do. I'm gonna take that thumb, push up against that finger. This one's pretty much as thin as it needs to be already, but I'll just make one more pull. And I do my trimming, trim the ski jump right here. Some people call it the skirt. I'm gonna use my trimming tool, do the undercut, and I do all that right now so when I put my rib on here, it flows right from the bottom and it looks nice and clean. And narrow this neck up. Do I ever do sculptures? Almost never. The reasons why you've never seen me make any sculptures is because I don't do it that much. I'm a very practical person, and I like things that have a function. And one of the things I really like about pots is not only do they have a function, but they also art at the same time. And I really like that. If you go into my house, I have almost zero art on the wall, so it's kind of weird. I just have pots all over. And it's kind of my way of relating to other people through art is through function. I think that's super cool. And so do I make a lot of sculpture? Not really, but I kind of think of pots as sculpture. The form, the color, and all that it just adds the function. That's really the difference. You know, it's like a sculpture that's functional. So I'm gonna make my shaping pole right here. That was a good question. I do admire people that make sculptures, but it's just never been something I've done or been interested in doing. I just really like functional stuff. And this one's got a thin spot right here, so I probably won't keep this one. We'll cut this one open so you can see what it looks like. It's got a just a little thinner than my taste right here, and it'll make it really fragile. Make it a wire tool. I'll make it a little fragile, so I'm just going to cut it in half. So you can see what, I'll put that back in the bug mill. Got a little too thin. It's one of the things that I struggled with this for a while, making my pots too thin. So you can see right there, just got a little thin in that little area right there. You can see it's thicker up there. So I've been kind of weak right there. Set that one aside. Quality control. Again, I'm throwing standing up. I really like throwing standing up so I can move around my studio and grab things, turn on the radio, all that kind of stuff, look out the window. It's really comfortable for me. I've always done this. I threw sitting down for a while when I learned. I learned on a treadle wheel where you stand up. I think the German name, it's called like Klopfstein or something like that. Stand up throwing. So I learned how to stand up on a treadle wheel, which is where you move your foot back and forth. But I did throw on a kick wheel for a while. That was a sit down kick wheel. It's a Brent Model J, and I had a Lockerbie for a while. 80s and 90s and 70s potters will know what's up. But I love throwing standing up. It's just the way, in my opinion. All right, so that first pull, again, I'm going to squeeze my hands like this and use this hand, which has a sponge in it, just to add a little bit of water so it doesn't dry out. I'm going to be going up and out, or up and in, I'm sorry. If you can get it right without your bat wobbling, you can get a lot of height out of that one pull. Get all nice and even. Grab my thumb. Again, I know it's weird, but I've been doing this my whole pottery career. It really works for me. I have so much power in your thumb. Push up like that. Get my height. Get a little bit more height out of that. It's pretty much all it needs, but just a little bit more. So sometimes you see that one I threw straight up and down, but sometimes you'll see me work the belly into it with the throwing. I kind of just go back and forth. I've made so many mugs that they kind of just turn out the same, even if I do it a little different. And I guess I just like a little repetition, maybe. I don't know. So again, I'm going to take that, curve the rib, push it out with my finger, and then you'll see my hand, or the rib stop and my hand move, and then my fingers will catch back up. Make it a little narrower up here. Cut side of my rib down. This is the part where I switch. And then kick the top out. Again, this is inspired by 14th century English earthenware pots. I just love them. I want a little bit more concave here, so I'm going to work the rib, concave curve it, just push it in. Again, I draw on a lot of my pots, so I do like a smooth surface, but I like to leave some of the tooling marks. All right, I'll get the water out of the inside with the sponge on the stick. Again, you can just make one of these very easy. This is a stick from my backyard, rubber band, and an old sponge. The older the sponge, the better. They're nice and soft. They really absorb the water better. They don't damage the finger marks on the inside. Just kind of like a mop. All right, I'm going to do one more undercut on that with my trimming tool. And we'll clean up the bat. Clean up with my bat every time. Get it nice and clean. Clean up the edges. Keeps you from getting crunchies all over your workspace. And we'll grab another one. I have 3 more chunks of clay, so I think I'm going to go back to that first one I was throwing with the little wider bottom. I sell about half and half of these. You know, some people really like the round shaped ones, so they put their hand around it, and some people like the wider base because it's more stable in a car or whatever. All right, last 3 pots here. And I'll try to do a live stream making some handles. Kind of an interesting way I make my handles. I don't think a lot of people do. So the first cup I make of the day, you see I coned it a little bit. I went and coned it up and down a little bit. The first cup of the day though, it's fresh from the pug mill, and I don't really do it a whole bunch, but now these have been sitting here for 20-30 minutes. Even though they're in a tub, I do cone it a little bit more. It does really help. So if it gets a little squirrely on you like that, you can take your lobster claw, sponge, peace sign, put that right on top and straighten it back up. And you can go right into your pull from there. You can squeeze it and lift it up and pull it right up. And that sponge, you can just add a little water on along the way if it gets a little sticky. And I'm gonna take my thumb, push into my finger, make a little shelf, grip it, pull it up. Okay, now the base on this one's a little bit too wide, so you can cheat those back in. So I'm just going to cheat the base in, slow down my wheel a little bit. I'm making one more pull there, but maybe went a little too far with that one. All right, I'm going to clean up the ski jump. Make it a little narrower right here. Undercut, trimming tool. Cut rib, cut side down. Shape it like this. You can pull like this too. You can pull the rib. I do like these rib lines. I do try to leave those if I can. And I'm going to make it concave by concaving my tool and go right up into that ledge. I think one of the reasons why I like this shape so much is not only because I kind of grew up in that leech tradition, like I learned in that leech tradition, but my father also really liked beer and he collected beer steins, and so we had all these really cool beer steins in our house. He had a little shelf with them all. They're all kind of big like this and big tankards. Just kind of always enjoyed making them. I think part of that is just seeing his all the time in the house growing up. All right. Now this one's got a little square of a rim on it. I'm just going to round that out a little bit. After these dry for a couple hours, I'll cut them off and flip them upside down. And then I use old t-shirts. And if you're just joining in, I don't wire cut them yet. I wait a couple hours. This porcelain cracks sometimes if you do that. You cut it off right away. So I wait like a couple hours and it cuts really nice and clean. And I use a fishing line, a monofilament fishing line. I don't know what test it is, but it's pretty thin. It's like 15-pound test. And it does really good. If you're just starting with the frost porcelain, when you cut from the standard steel wire tool, you might find that it pulls the base of your cup apart or whatever you're making. And I found that the wire using a monofilament fishing line fixes all that. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Let me know if it sounds good. It's my first live stream, so just checking everything out, seeing how this works. I don't know how anybody else does it, but when you have the camera on your stuff, you can't see the comments. So I had to get, there's got to be something I'm missing, but can't really see the comments. So I have my iPad up there too, so I can read the comments, but it seems to work good, but I bet there's an easier way. I'm gonna go down a little lower. Pull this open. I kind of use the bat as a measurement device. These are all the same. I don't need a gauge or anything. They just turn out the same. But when I was learning, a really popular tool that comes in all the Kemper tool sets and all that is the wooden rib. I don't think I have one. The standard rib that comes in the toolkits, but I'd use the metal rib, the wood rib as a measuring tool for the base of the pot. I don't really use them at all anymore, but I'd measure that would be the radius, and that would be perfect for my mugs. But I kind of use the bat as a measuring tool too. Get a nice swirl on that one. I'm going to do the pinch pull, so I'm pinching, going in. This is squeezing a little water and also directing it inward. The wood is starting to swell on my bat, so it's holding now. Grip it down here, squeeze real hard. I'm going to push that little ledge up into my hand. And narrow the neck a little bit. Cut off my little extra clay right here. There's a big old fat squirrel down there right underneath the bird feeder. Ooh, chunky. Ooh, you saw me. I don't know if you can see him, he went up the tree right there. All right. All right, they got flat side down, curved side in. We use this to shape the pot. Again, I like to do the undercut first, so it makes it really nice and clean at the bottom here. No trimming required. I love the throwing marks. I leave those, but I don't want them too deep because I draw my pots. And I'm going to take this right here and push my finger, and it's going to make this nice little lip right here. It's nice to drink out of. Looks cool. And then I'm going to indent this a little bit, a little slightly concave. It feels cool in your mouth. All right. It's looking pretty good. And clean up the base. Wonder if you can see on the inside of this pot. This one's got a nice swirl on it. Wonder if you'll be able to see that on camera. If you had a favorite shaped pot, what would it be? Good question. Dang. You know what? That's a really good question. It might be this, you know, there's been something I just stuck with my entire life. It's just cool shape. It's a good question. I'm gonna have to think on that one. don't know if you can see the swirl in there. Not enough light maybe. Probably knocked it off center. Let me check real quick. Still good. All right. All right, last one. Should we do like something random? I'm doing the same shape. Let's do something a little different. We'll try something new. Maybe lower the curve a little bit. Get a different rib out real quick. I have an idea. Oh, this is the rib I was talking about earlier. I think this one's chipped. That's why I use it to scrape the pug mill down. If you make your mugs the radius this wide, it's the one that comes in all the toolkits. It's kind of a perfect radius for a mug if it's porcelain because it shrinks down just so the right size. I'll let that soak in the water. Get a bat real quick. Last mug of the day for the live stream. I'm out of clay nugs. All right. Gavin, are you making any videos on your, do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have any videos on yours? I open this up. I don't know if you can see how I'm opening this. Let me see if I can get a different angle. Oh, that was not a good idea. Can you see that? Back it up a little bit. All right, I think you can see that. All right, so we're gonna use my thumb. I'm gonna pull outward. Makes a nice little swirl. And I'm gonna flatten this swirl down, compress it so it's not too thick. If it gets a little off center, don't worry about it. And then make that swirl. But this is what I was talking about. This is a good width. You get these pottery toolkits. It comes with this D-shaped rib. This one's broken. I got stuck in my pug mill. But this makes the perfect radius for a mug. You can see I'm just kind of like a robot. I just do it without looking anymore. And now you can see I got it off center. Again, I don't worry about that. So if you're learning, if you're new at this and you're getting them off center when you're opening it, no big deal. If you can learn how to recenter it once you've opened it, then you'll never have to worry about it. So 2 fingers, peace sign. Put your thumb right there. It makes a channel right here. That's where the clay is going to flow through. Lobster claw right here, and you put them on top, and the clay flows right through that channel. And you're squeezing it from the outside. You're pushing down from the top, and the wheel's pushing from the bottom, so it has nowhere to go but the middle. You do that, it'll straighten right up. And if you hold this position and you start to squeeze your fingers together, you can go lift up and use the sponge to add a little bit more water so you don't dry out. Looks like this, so peace sign right on top. Squeeze right into my pull. Bring up the wall, bam, and you're good. You're gonna keep that top in. Again, this is porcelain, it's very floppy. So if you see it flopping around and wondering why I'm not worried, it's because it's porcelain, that's what it does. I'm gonna grip it right there, dig my thumb in, push it right towards my finger, it makes a little shelf. We'll lift up, pull the walls up. Grip it in. Pull up the walls. Cut off the little ski jump right here. Just a little tiny bit of clay. Some people call that a skirt. I'm from Wisconsin, so we have everything snow related. I'm going to narrow the neck a little bit. And now for this one, I'm gonna use this rib. I'm just gonna do a little straighter sides right here. I'm gonna give that one more pull down here. Just a little thick right there. All right, perfect. I'm gonna slow my wheel down a little bit. Again, I'm standing, so my foot is not on the pedal at all times. I'm just gonna kick my rib out like this. Can you see that? And I'm gonna take my finger from the inside. I'm just gonna give this a little bit more angular vibe to the bottom. Then we're gonna come in at a concave curve right here. So angular to concave, we'll see what that looks like. Last mug of the day. Got something, when you see those lines, there's something on your rib. So there was like a piece of hard clay or something. And I'm gonna cut it like this. We'll do a little concave curve here. I'm gonna flip it. Ooh, I like that. All right. Clean up the bottom here. Do another little undercut. I think I forgot that. This looks kind of funky from your angle, but let me get the angle a little right a second so you can see what I'm looking at. Because I like this shape. It looks a little funky. I'll clean off my hands and my bucket. I kind of like this one. All right, well, everybody, thanks to you so much for joining in and checking this out. I'm gonna try to do a live stream when I put the handles on. I'm not sure I'm gonna film that, we'll see. I'm kind of just learning how to do this. And we'll see. Let me get you a shot of the squirrel outside, eating all the bird food. And then I'm gonna sign out. Here, we'll end with the squirrel right here. Right there, look at him. Happy little pottery squirrel. All right, everybody. Thanks for throwing pots with me. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye. I don't know how to end this. We didn't get that far, how to end the live stream. Are you sure you want to end the straps?